Pex here. Today, I want to talk about trucking again because this is going to be something I'm going to dive into a lot because I think people need to get this information, and I think because of this information, not only the industry, but at an individual level, people will be doing a lot better, become more successful. So I just got done watching Sean's leasing video of basically why you should or shouldn't get into trucking or into leasing and what you should be doing. He stated that he suggests you go company driver for 1 year, lease for the second year, and for the third year start making your way up to owning multiple trucks, which would be a fantastic thing to do in theory, but I think it fails. And I think there's a better option. And I think I am actually living the better option. So he stated why you should go into leasing, and that should be only if your plan is to own your own fleet within 3 to 5 years. In fact, he has a part 1 and part 2 to the leasing videos that he has done, and I suggest you watch those so you get a better understanding about leasing. However, like I said, I think I know a much better option, and I think I'm living the much better option. Avoid this because there's construction here and my GPS doesn't realize I'm just staying on I-65. Alright. So, the option that I want to instill in you guys is that don't go lease operator no matter what. It's a waste of money, and there's ways that you can make more money than leasing. And there's ways that you can lease and make more money doing so. There's tons of programs to lease. There's lease you turn in the truck after 4 years, lease you turn in the truck after 7 years, and you'll have a lower payment. There's many different ways to lease. There's even lease purchase programs where you actually get the keys at the end of your time leasing. There's plenty of ways to lease. I don't suggest you lease. I believe there's much better options. Remember how I said go company driver and do it at a smaller company level, not a mega carrier level. Now, that is rather important. You should try to stay as small as possible. There's more money in it that way. If you know what you're doing and you don't get screwed by your whatever, right? Now, what Sean said was that you should go company driver for the first year. 100% agree on that. 100% if you're a truck driver, go company your first year, guaranteed. A very good option. You get to learn the game. You get to understand where you go, because if your company is sending you certain places, right, you know where the commodity is, where the freight for your division, where it is. You get to understand that, how trucking works. If you like trucking, if you just start off with a lease purchase, or a lease program, you're pretty much fooked, says Conor McGregor. Because if you don't like it, then you're screwed. If you don't understand how lease purchase or lease programs work, I keep saying purchase, lease programs work, and you don't, and you understand that you have to pay. Well, I got to pay $1,300 in fuel every week or more, and you got to pay. You have all these. You have the truck note. You have the insurance you got to pay for. You have a lot of stuff you got to pay for. Maintenance. Now, of course, like I said, there's many different programs. Some of these programs may, in fact, pay for most of your fuel or pay separate, differently. Like all lease programs are different, trying to give you more or less risk. So there's a lot of risk going involved. I don't suggest you go lease purchase, lease programs. I keep saying lease purchase. I don't suggest this stuff because you don't even know if you like trucking your first year. You don't even know how it works. you could be getting in accidents, but chances are, if you're at a carrier or something like that, you would generally pay for your accidents if you hit somebody or whatever, right? You would pay for the damage out of your own pocket. So, you don't know how much, I mean, you're investing a lot doing a lease program your first year. So don't do it. It just doesn't make any sense. You don't, you're going to be behind. You're going to be so behind on bills, it's not even funny. And you're not going to understand unless you get really lucky or you know somebody that's going to coach you 100% of the way. Anyways, still don't suggest it. A lot of time, a lot of money, and unless you're a lease purchaser, you're not going to ever own that vehicle. And then you're going to have to turn it in and do the whole thing over again. So, you're trapped in a lease program. You're trapped. So what I suggest is go company. Find out how it works. Find out locations, truck stops. Find out what shippers your company wants to keep sending you to, because generally they would be paying a little bit more if they keep sending you there. So you would understand these things. Oh shit, half a mile. Lane closed. So you would understand more about what you're getting into in the industry. You're going to understand more about your division, where freight comes out of in your division, etc. And I think that's common sense to anybody, well, rather common knowledge for anybody who has experience in trucking. Second year, still don't suggest you go in lease purchase. You can go that route. I'm not going to say you shouldn't. I'm going to say there's better options for your second year, or rather your year and a half mark, your 2-year mark. There's a better option out there. And I chose this option, but a little late, because you kind of got to wait and make sure that this is the right thing, the right company, or whatever, right? So what I chose was to stick around with that company driver thing. And what happened was, I didn't just accept any mega carrier or any carrier in general unless they met my quota. So you know that you are of value. You know that if you put in the experience, you can provide a lot of value to that next person, because you're not going to be getting in accidents. You're not going to be, being an idiot. You're not going to be missing your appointments, because you know how trucking works after a year, right? Let alone a year and a half, and I'm close to 2 years now in my trucking career. So, what I'm suggesting is to become a company driver for a small fleet. Why do I suggest this? It's because if you're working for a small fleet, there's a huge chance that the person who owns the fleet used to be a driver, a truck driver. So they can understand you more. They're not going to bullshit you, because they have some empathy, because they've also worked in that field called trucking. They were truck drivers. So chances are you're going to, specifically in my company, I work for somebody that owns these trucks, and there's 5 people in my, 5 truckers that work for under this guy. There's one dispatcher, it's the guy's son. So he's the only one I talk to is the guy's son. And it works out very well. They start you off high CPM. In the industry, it's definitely going to be above average for the most part, because people would just join the mega carriers and give you all types of benefits if they had that choice. So they have to give you high CPM to join them. 2, these fleets aren't going to govern your vehicle at like 62 miles an hour like Prime or Swift. So you can rest assured you're going to be going a decent speed, because they're not going to fuck with you. They want you to get there as soon as possible. Uh-oh. What the fuck? Alright, this, that guy totally threw me off. I thought he was going on the expressway, but he wasn't. Anyways. I suggest going with a fleet. Because if your end goal is to be the fleet guy, the guy that owns a few trucks or lease purchases a few trucks or whatever, right? Lease program a few trucks, and you're the head of that operation, you would want to work for a fleet to see how it would work. For long haul, I mean, I would suggest working long haul first year, second year, short haul. So you understand both sides of that business. And you're going to get a lot of understanding about fleets, about how it works, how it operates, how you can switch it off. You're going to have to switch trailers at times. You might have to pull things off one trailer and then divvy it over to two different trailers to better your money. Like, there's a million different things. Just being in a fleet will get you to understand about owning a fleet and how it operates. So that's what I suggest, because you're going to be making a lot of money. You don't have to pay for fuel. For example, I'm making $1,500 a week, right? $1,500 is decent money. And I'm making $1,500 every week. And I'm going to get a 3-cent raise here in a couple months. According to him, if I like it and I stick around and I enjoy the work and they like me, they're going to give me 3 more cents a mile. It's just awesome like that. So, also, you get to talk to your dispatcher. My dispatcher says, hey, I want to run you how you want to be run. And so you're going to have a much better experience in a fleet than you are going to be in a mega carrier, because they're not going to understand you. So, or get to know you very well and understand how you like to be worked. And if you haven't checked out that video, I don't remember what I called it. It was a trucking video from yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago. Yeah, it was yesterday. I put up that video about trucking. So understand that, and then you'll understand why I'm telling you to go into a fleet right now. Because $1,500 a week, no risk, no fuel. If you want to go home for a week, you don't have to pay your $500 truck note and then another $100 for insurance that week. You don't have to pay it if you want to take off for a week or whatever, right? Because the clock's ticking. If you're a lease operator, that clock's ticking. You're paying money, whether you're working or not. And fuck that risk. And paying for fuel. Fuel's fucking $1,500 a week. And if I'm getting paid $1,500 a week, why would I want to risk $1,500 a week with a great dispatcher who runs me how I would want if I was a lease purchase driver, and I have no quota to make, right? I have no quota. I gotta go do this run to pay for my fuel. I gotta go do this run to go pay for my truck, and I gotta go do this run to make sure that I can eat this week. And then by the time you're home and you're taking a couple days off or 1 day off to go see family and stuff, well, you got to go back out there because the clock's ticking. You're wasting money, right? So I suggest in your second year or year and a half or your third year or whatever, right, that you should try to join a fleet. One that is going to cater to your needs, a small fleet. 5 trucks, 6 trucks, 4 trucks in the fleet. And it's going to be better worth your time, and it's going to be much better for your money, for your wallet. So your third year, if after you understand the fleet and stuff, and you want to start becoming an owner-operator, I would suggest it. So you can save up a lot of money working for this fleet to be able to pay for your first truck, like with cash, your third year. That is meaning that you're not paying $1,000 mortgage every month. You're not paying for tons of things that, you're not going off and being a mindless consumerist, buying new chains. I just got a $1,500 paycheck and I feel like blowing it. So you buy a $1,500 chain and charm. No, don't do that. Save up your money from your second year. Okay, this guy really wants to hit me. Did he just beep at me? What? He totally just put his whole front end into my lane. What a fucking dick. Anyways, so I suggest starting off at a mega carrier, help you with your tuition reimbursement, then go into a small fleet for as long as it takes until you can afford your own truck. Then you can really start making that money because you don't have that truck note every week, right? Pay it forward. You'll be making more money that way. And you don't have any risk, at least as much risk, right? So all your risk is aside, and then you can become that owner-operator your third year, or however long it takes you to buy a truck. Some good trucks I've seen for just 30 grand, nice 2012 or 2013 truck, 30 grand with 500k miles on it, could go easily another 500k for 30,000, right? And as an owner-operator, you'll be making even more money. You can, but of course you got to pay for fuel and insurance and maintenance. But once you get to that point and you have money set aside and you buy a truck, well, you have much less risk there, and then you can understand in your division what is the most beneficial for you, how it's run. You're going to understand how the fleet was ran, and you're going to understand how everything works, and then where your freight comes out of. I mean, you're going to have so much experience at this point where you can, in your third year, be an owner-operator, and fourth year, buying your second truck, and your fifth year, buying your third truck. And then by that point, you're going to have 3 people in your trucks, and you can get out of it, right? Or whatever, right? This is just an example. But that second year makes a huge difference if you're not lease purchasing. Now, am I saying that you shouldn't lease purchase or lease? I keep saying lease purchase. I apologize. Lease program, lease operator. If you decide to go into it, it's not the end of the world, right? You can definitely go through it. You're going to have a lot of risk. You're not going to be 100% during it. And I do suggest your second year into your third year, or whatever, however long it takes you to join a small fleet, to join the small fleet, because it's much less risk, and you're going to get paid probably just as much or more than that lease operator. And you still got to turn in that truck, so, you know, and you got a maintenance cost. Like, there's just more risk doing it. Wait until you can afford your truck. And because of small fleets that are already out there, they're going to pay you a lot more than a company driver. So I can understand LoSean's version of always sticking with the mega carriers, even lease purchase through the mega carriers. I understand that. If you're going that route, well, and you're not going that fleet thing, yeah, it's going to take you a while. Yeah, I can understand that route. But the secret is joining a fleet yourself. You'll make so much more money. So much more money. And you're going to have a great experience because you're going to be ran how you want. You're going to have a great relationship with your dispatcher because he only has to deal with a few drivers. And you're always going to have work. So it just doesn't make sense to me to go lease purchase your second year if you can go with a small fleet. Now, is it hard to find these small fleets? Yes. Now, to give you a little backstory about me, this summer I took off for 3 months. I took off because I moved to New York. I had things going on. I wanted to enjoy the summer. Well, after a month of enjoying the summer, I was like, let me start getting back to the money. So I started to apply everywhere. I was on Craigslist. I was on all these Indeed.com. I was on all these websites, and I was trying to find a nice small company or fleet. And during my experience trying to find these companies, I kept getting similar feedback from mega carriers, or at least bigger companies than a small fleet. And that would be things like, yeah, we'll start you off at 38 cents a mile, and we'll have you start in a different field than you're used to, like flatbed or step deck. And I'll be like, no. I don't want to start at 38 cents a mile, and I don't want to be in a bigger company where I have to go by their rules instead of, have a mutual benefit to both of us, with the dispatcher that you would have if you were in a small fleet. So I kept getting the low CPM, low miles, shitty routes, and shitty equipment, and I'd be governed at 65 miles an hour. Fuck all of that shit. And, you know, they might not have a load ready because they got to get 50 other drivers loaded before you. You know, fuck that shit. So I kept saying no, no, no. I would get phone calls from everyone because you put one app online and then every fucking mega carrier wants to contact you. And they all want to give you the shittiest fucking thing, right? Low CPM, low miles, a shitty position, and who knows, maybe you can work your way up to 45 cents a mile or whatever. Fuck that. And I talked to people through lease purchasing, and that didn't look good to me. Lease programs, I've looked up how to become a lease operator. I did all of that stuff. Didn't look good to me. So, you know, one bad thing that I see that I can be like, oh shit, this is something I don't want to get into. And that was all of them. But it wasn't until good old Craigslist popped up. And I was like, holy shit, this is in my area. They do OTR positions that were, you know, home weekly for 24 hours, home weekly. And that was exactly what I wanted. Everything was exactly what I wanted. High CPM. I talked to the dispatcher. I was like, holy fuck, this dispatcher's around my age. Maybe even a couple years younger or something, but he's around my age. And he's telling me if I want to run 500 miles a day, I'll run 500 miles a day. If I want to run 700 miles a day, I'll run 700 miles a day. So they understand me. So instead of lease purchase, like you gotta run to do as much as you can in order to barely scrape the surface of a profit, well, this guy's running me how I want. I want $1,500 paychecks, and I'm willing to get a 3-cent raise in a couple months. So, dude, he's doing everything for me. I get paper checks, so I just go to the bank and cash a $1,500 check every week. And there's so little risk involved. I'm still a company driver with all the benefits of that lease purchaser. Do you understand? The only thing I'm not doing is picking my own loads. That's the only thing I'm not doing, is talking to the dispatchers and paying for my own fuel, right? And paying my own truck note and paying for the insurance. I'm not doing any of that. So I'm getting the reward by just, you know, and if my dispatcher says, well, dude, I want you to do this run, and I know you're going to hate it, well, I do the run, and I call him up and say, hey, man, yeah, try not to give me those loads anymore. He'd be like, oh, I understand. Yeah, it took me 3 hours to get loaded. I finally get loaded. They're overweight. Then you want to take me down to this area, and I didn't have enough time. The appointment time was just ridiculously, like, tomorrow for, like, a 900-mile load. It just didn't make sense. Don't do this to me anymore. Not saying that he ever did, because my dispatcher is really, really good. But especially as a company driver, like at a bigger carrier, that can be more apt to happen. But with my dispatcher, if that was to ever happen, which it hasn't, I'm almost done with 3 weeks now with this company. If that was to happen, he would be like, yep, never doing it again. Because one thing happened where I was waiting to get loaded, and they said, and there's tons of trucks in front of me. Tons of trucks in front of me. So I go in there, and they said, yeah, it's going to be a while. You have 8 trucks in front of you. And I was like, oh, fuck. When do you think you'll finally get to me? Probably about 4 p.m. or something. And I'm there at like 11 a.m. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So I call my dispatcher, and then, you know, we go through all this thing. He gives me detention pay. He gives me all the things that I would want. And by the time I get loaded, I say, hey, man, I'm finally loaded. I'm ready to go. And he says, okay, well, we're never going here again, because we're never doing this to you again, and it's doing this to me. So we're never doing this again. That's a small fleet for you. Somebody that understands you, understands the game, understands what's best for everybody. They give you higher CPM so you stick around. They give you higher CPM because they don't give you like the benefits, like health insurance and shit like that. But you have the high CPM to make up for it, and you can go out in the free market and find something that works better for you than being forced into an insurance policy that is through your company, right? You're forced into either this policy or this policy. Sign here, and $60 out of your paycheck every week, or $100 out of your paycheck every week comes out. No, you can go and buy your insurance in the free market to do what you want. There's just so much. I can dive into this all the time. Why working for a fleet is a lot better than being a lease program operator. Tell me what you think. Are you on a lease program yourself and enjoying it? Do you not like it? Is there pros and cons you want to talk about? I've never been in the lease program, but I have heard stories, and they're almost never good. They're almost never good. Unless the only stories I hear that are good of owner-operators are ones that are not lease operators. Those are the stories I hear great things about, because you have full control. Because even as a lease operator, you don't have full control. You constantly got to make deadlines. You constantly have to pay your bills. Now, of course, as a owner-operator, you get this shit, but you can have your own LLC, your own shit, your own numbers, your own company. That's what you should strive for. Don't be this lease operator crap. Before this video becomes an hour long, I'm going to pause it and stop it here. I said I was going to talk about long haul versus short haul. I'm going to do that right now. So stay tuned for that video. Have a good day.